He was a respected doctor, trusted with saving lives. But when his own wife complained of pain, he wrote her a prescription that promised relief and delivered death. Hours later, she was gone. Was it a tragic mistake or the most calculated crime of all? Stay with us, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel as we reveal the mystery behind this story. Dr. Raymond Carter carried himself with the calm authority that came from years in medicine. He was admired by colleagues, respected by patients, and trusted by neighbors. His white coat seemed to carry not just knowledge, but a promise. If you were in his care, you were safe. His wife, Elaine, only added to that image. Elegant, thoughtful, and generous, she moved through life with grace. To those who knew them, they looked like a portrait of love, stability, and success. But behind closed doors, perfection was not what it seemed. Elaine had begun to complain of strange symptoms. At first, she thought it was stress, perhaps exhaustion from managing their home and social life. But the fatigue grew worse. She became short of breath. The chest pains came sharp and sudden. She told her husband, and he promised her he would take care of it. He was her husband and her doctor. Who else would she trust? Still, unease gnawed at her. There were whispers she shared only with her closest friend. She admitted she sometimes felt afraid. Afraid of what? She couldn't fully explain. But her instincts told her something wasn't right. On a stormy evening, Elaine sat at the kitchen table, pale and trembling. The rain beat against the windows, lightning flashing across the sky. Raymond entered quietly, carrying a small white bottle. He set it down before her. "Take these," he said gently. "They'll ease the pain. You'll sleep better tonight." She picked up the bottle. The pills inside rattled softly. Her voice shook as she asked, "Will this really help me?" Raymond's smile was practiced, calm. The same smile he gave nervous patients before surgery. "Trust me," he said softly. "I know what I'm doing." And so she obeyed. She swallowed the pills. Hours later, Raymond's voice came through the 911 dispatch line. Frantic, breathless, shaking. "My wife, she's not breathing. Please hurry." Paramedics rushed to the Carter home. They found Elaine sprawled on the floor, her skin pale, her lips tinged blue. Raymond knelt beside her, sweat pouring down his face as he pressed his hands against her chest in desperate CPR. "Stay with me," he cried. But Elaine was gone. The tragedy sent ripples through the community. Neighbors wept for Elaine and for Raymond, the grieving husband who had done everything to save her. They brought casseroles and flowers, filling his home with condolences. For a time, he was wrapped in sympathy. But grief soon gave way to questions. Why had Elaine, a relatively healthy woman, died so suddenly? Why was she on a prescription not written by another physician, but by her husband? And why was the dosage so alarmingly high? The autopsy brought those questions into sharp focus. A powerful sedative was found in her bloodstream, 5 times the safe amount. This wasn't medication for healing. This was a dose capable of shutting down the body. Investigators began to dig. They interviewed neighbors, colleagues, and friends. And the mask of perfection began to slip. One neighbor recalled hearing arguments late at night, muffled but intense. Another remembered Elaine's words only weeks earlier. "If anything happens to me, look at Raymond." And then came the revelation that shifted everything. Elaine's closest friend, Margaret, told detectives that Elaine had entrusted her with a sealed letter. "If something happens to me," Elaine had whispered, "promise me you'll give this to the police." The letter was devastating. In Elaine's own delicate handwriting, she confessed her fears. "I feel weaker with each pill he gives me. I don't know if it's intentional or if he refuses to admit he's wrong. But I am scared. If I am gone, please know it was not by my choice." Detectives confronted Raymond. He denied wrongdoing. He insisted it was a tragic accident, nothing more. He said every decision was made from love. But the evidence stacked higher. They uncovered a life insurance policy, $2 million, signed only months before Elaine's death, with Raymond as the sole beneficiary. Financial records revealed debts from gambling, Hospital staff whispered of a rumored affair with a young nurse. Colleagues admitted he had grown distracted, quick-tempered, not the steady doctor they once admired. Piece by piece, the perfect image collapsed. What remained was a man with motive, means, and opportunity. The trial became a national spectacle. Prosecutors laid out their case in chilling detail. They described a husband who controlled his wife's care, who isolated her from other doctors, who used his knowledge not to heal but to harm. They held up Elaine's letter, her own words, as evidence from beyond the grave. They spoke of the insurance money, the debts, the affair. They told the jury this was no accident, it was a plan. The defense countered. They painted Raymond as a loving husband devastated by loss. They argued Elaine's death was a terrible miscalculation, the kind of mistake even skilled doctors could make under pressure. They replayed his 911 call, insisting it was the raw voice of grief, not guilt. They begged the jury to see him not as a killer, but as a man who had lost everything. But the jury could not ignore the evidence. They could not dismiss Elaine's letter. And when experts testified that Raymond's 911 call sounded strangely rehearsed, the scales tipped further. After a single day of deliberation, the jury returned. The courtroom held its breath. Guilty! Gasps filled the room. Elaine's family clutched each other, tears streaming down their faces. For them, justice had been served. Raymond sat still, his face blank, as though carved from stone. The doctor once trusted to save lives was now condemned for taking one. In the weeks that followed, the town struggled to reconcile the man they thought they knew with the murderer he had been revealed to be. Patients who had once sworn by him now recoiled at the mention of his name. Neighbors who had admired his marriage now spoke of red flags they had ignored. Elaine's story lived on, not just as a tragedy, but as a warning. A reminder that sometimes, danger doesn't come from strangers in dark alleys. Sometimes, it comes from the person who sits across from you at dinner, the one who whispers, "Trust me." And so, her final words echoed long after her death. "If I am gone, please know it was not by my choice." Kindly subscribe to this channel for more shocking true crime stories.